you see now all the time. You see people's like Facebook status changing. Like, so and so went from being in an open relationship to single. That was actually an example I saw on my thing, and I was like, well, I didn't see that coming. But like, but for the most part, you see this kind of thing. Like,
yeah, that always freaks me out. On Facebook, there were 2 cases I saw this week where people who I'm just sort of acquaintances with changed their status from in a relationship to single, and then there's this like series of "oh, sorry, dude" comments after. I was like, man, keep me out of that shit. I don't want to.
Yeah. and again, too, it's kind of the whole thing. Like, what happens? Like, if you say you're in a relationship with someone in this era, and you end that relationship, and one of you immediately sends that update out, and then the other doesn't, it's like you have to keep bugging them. Come on, update your page. Update your fucking page. Broke up, bitch.
Hey, she hasn't told me yet. What do you mean she's not in a relationship? That'd be actually a great way to break up with someone.
Well,
hey, dude, check your Facebook status.
It also goes the other way, because it's like I definitely had friends who are in situations like where it's, they're in a relationship now, and it's like at what point in the relationship do you graduate to the point where you change your status, right?
Oh, never. That's a hard and fast rule. Never.
What do you mean, Luke? You get in a relationship, you just like it's not going to reflect on your Facebook page?
Yeah, if you actually drill into my Facebook, you'll see there's almost no actual information about me at all. Like in my basic information. Because I really think that people on the internet are really creepy. And like this, I wanted to mention it earlier. There's some sub app for Twitter, and I see people using it. That's like, this is exactly where I am right now. Like, I'm at Shakey's Pizza on Fifth Avenue. Like, why the fuck would you do that? Like, one, I don't care where you are. Two, you're like twittering with your wife and referring to her as like whatever her Twitter name is. Like, have a nice night with your wife. You don't need to let the internet know that you two are at Shakey's Pizza enjoying, like, the veggie special. No one cares.
About it. If the husband's about to get lucky, he definitely wants the world to know this might be a once-in-a-lifetime occurrence. he needs the encouragement and the support from his 1,000,001 Twitter friends.
That's like Twitter. Go ahead.
We could do a whole show on like the sad signs of Twitter. I think there's a whole like if you follow more people than follow you, I think, right? I think you're doing it wrong. Like, sorry, you probably don't need a Twitter. Like, if you're like, I'm following 700 people and I have 18 followers. Like, it's time for you to fucking let your grandma, your aunt, and your best friend from 3rd grade down gently and close the Twitter account. Seriously, like, I'm following that girl from the guild. Like, it's time. I mean, I'm giving her feedback on her show, and she's reading it. Like, I don't think she is.
We can go too far in that direction, though, I think. I mean, do you guys check your, like Rory, my friend, pointed out to me, he's like, he told me that I, like, treat my Twitter followers like the fucking surviving humans in the series Battlestar Galactica. Like, I keep count on each one, and I'm like, fuck, I lost one. Someone Jeff last week. The fuck did I do about him? Someone have a baby and make me another follower. But I think we all, like, we all notice that shit, if not down to the single digit. Like, I mean, we're aware of it. And it's like it's kind of like a sad, like, look at me. I mean,
Sean, in your case, I don't think you have to worry about getting in touch with your grandmother or your aunt or your friend from 5th grade because...
No, the fear is that they find it.
You've got 6,546 followers, and you're only following 5 people.
Fuck, I got 3 more, dude, in the last 10 minutes!
That's a good ratio.
My family will ever find this stuff. I mean, does that go for you guys?
Actually, I just read something. You mentioned family, and I read something, I don't know if someone on Facebook linked to it, it might have been, but about what happens when you die. Like, what is the concept of digital death?
Dude, people think you're checking your MySpace.
Yeah, no, but how will your 6,500 Twitter followers know that you're dead, other than like NeoGaf probably like soliciting your death record and posting it? Mm-hmm. But like, I mean, like, this is a really interesting concept of these, like, the digital footprint that people leave. Like, or like 10 of my Xbox Live buddies who I don't know in real life. Like, if just one of them goes away, to me, if he dies, to me, it's like, oh, XXX Sniper Wolf XXX is no longer playing Xbox Live. Like, he just doesn't get on anymore. Like, there's no real way of understanding, like, oh yeah, that dude died. Like, it's just,
Yeah, they should add a death option to Xbox Live so that when you log on and one of your friends dies, it comes on with this like sad music and is like in loving memory of Triple X Sniper Wolf Triple X.
Fucking
Yeah. Then how would Xbox needs to figure out how you're alive or dead?
What I want to know is you're talking about people changing their relationship status on Twitter on Facebook and letting everyone know that they've broken up, and how you get those like awkward replies from people that are like, "Oh, bummer, dude. Sorry to hear that." What I want to know is like when people start having their parents on an application like Facebook, and like one of your parents dies, does it say like, Robert Ashley now has one parent?
Oh my god! Oh my god!
Sorry to hear it. Like
bummer, dude. Sorry, bro.
I'll
bring over the GameCube.
That kind of like public grieving is just disgusting to me, and I wouldn't want anyone to know if that happened to me. And
it does tend to make, I think, for me, so much of like human interaction seem like all the more superficial. It's like your birthday, and it's announced to everyone, and everyone sends you the obligatory happy birthday, and it's like I'll send people birthday wishes too, and it's kind of like, but they don't know that like I mean it with any degree of sincerity, or if I'm just doing it because I do it. And it's like, but if it's a close friend, someone I interact with daily, they should probably figure it out, because it's like I'm just like horribly like, I don't know, just not tuned into that sort of thing.
By the way, I want to throw out the random fact I read in the San Francisco Chronicle this morning, which is that Facebook is now the second most popular visited website in the United States after Google.
Well, that sounds about right. Do you, Jeff, your daughter, uniquely among this group, you've got a daughter, and are you like friends with her on Facebook? Do you ever go and look and like see like?
Yeah, I was going to bring this up. She's 15, and she is on Facebook, of course, with all her friends, and was incredibly annoyed when all the adults, not just me and my wife, but adults in general, started showing up there. Because this did trickle upwards from a teen base,
and that's why Facebook won't last. It'll be replaced by another, by the next upcoming thing. For that reason, I think people will be.
Yeah, she's actually. I looked in her groups recently, and she's in a group called, Teens Against Parents on Facebook or something like that. She doesn't know. She doesn't know I can see that. But, she did friend me, so I can go there if I want to. I try to respect her privacy and not hang out there. But, of course, since she friended me, I see all her updates. And then I can see the comments that her friends are making. And they may not be my friends, but I can see what they're saying. And, my usual reaction is, man, I sure hope she doesn't fucking talk that way, too. Because it's usually pretty fun. So yeah, and this is her main mode of communication. In fact, I found out just this week alone that this way for me to contact her when I'm at school, when I'm at work and she's at school, or if we're apart for whatever reason, and it's going to be electronic, is not email, it's Facebook. She will check her Facebook email before she checks her Gmail account, because to her, email or Gmail is dead. It's all about Facebook.
That's pretty much how it is with my nephew too. Like he only uses Facebook. I don't think whenever I send him an email, he totally ignores it. But if I can send him a Facebook message, preferably with like a link to an illegally downloadable album, then he might respond to me.
Right, so you need to consider that, like for the digital age, like email is now already starting to be considered old.
Yeah, and for me, I'm sort of the opposite. Like where I only check. When I started using Facebook, I was sort of very deliberate about it. Was just friends and wasn't taking requests from people I didn't at least know or had met. But at the same time, I decided I'm going to treat this like LinkedIn on steroids. So it's not going to be about personal stuff. So I would take, requests from PR people, the people in the industry and that kind of thing. Then I started getting requests for people you'd have to term as fans, like people who had read my work and liked it and wanted to connect. But I was like, I didn't want to accept all the requests. So what I said was, well, if they include any text at all, like just like I like your stuff or would you please add me or whatever, just any text along with the request I would accept. If it was just a request, I wouldn't. And then finally, I just succumbed and said, hey, come one, come all. I take those messages, and I'll add you as a friend. But then what happened was I got into Twitter, and what I like about Twitter is the same thing I liked about, the World Wide Web back in '94 when I started working at the Washington Post's online service, as opposed to online services, is I like the idea of something that's completely an open network as opposed to a closed or semi-closed like Facebook. Anyone can join Facebook, but not everyone has, whereas anyone can sort of get to my Twitter feeds just by going to twitter.com/nkroll. So, but I connected the two. And what that creates is this weird thing, like where, because of how often I Twitter, people on Facebook think I'm on Facebook. Now that Facebook, it's been a while now that they dropped the origin. They used to say that this is from Twitter. Now they don't do that anymore. They probably realize, hey, we're giving Twitter all this free PR. Why do that? And so there are all these people who think I'm on Facebook way more than I am. For me, like Facebook is not like a super live place. Like, 'cause it's not how I choose to communicate. I'm much more email oriented. What Jeff's bringing up is a really good point, is how this completely changes. And I don't know if you guys deal with this on Facebook. The other thing is, it's one thing to message people. Like, I would message someone that I didn't know personally on Facebook if we were friends, if we connected somehow. But I get chat requests from people I don't know. I mean, yeah, we're friends, but I know you don't know me, you know you don't know me, and you're sending me a chat request.
Yeah, that's how it goes nowadays.
I've actually
you should try Steam.
I was a reluctant. I came reluctant.
Uh-oh.
Oh, no.
Experiencing technical difficulties. We have lost Jeff Green.
Jeff Green came reluctantly. It doesn't sound like... So one of the things that I want to talk about when N Guy was talking about how he adds people, I just clicked over. I have a kid sister. She is 16. She has 1,014 friends. Like, when I was 16 years old, I think I knew, 70 people.
Yeah, and how many of those people did you like actually care for? I mean, in my case, it was, call me self-centered, but it was probably, 7?
Yeah, go ahead.
I was talking, and my whole mic fell out. So I was talking to myself for 2 minutes and realized that the mic cord wasn't attached to anything.
But, well, you're back in action now, Jeff.
You were coming reluctantly to Twitter.
I was coming reluctantly? Is that what I said? Wow.
Yeah, you're coming reluctantly on Twitter.
If you want to gather your thoughts, we can just keep going and come and pause this as soon as you remember what you're saying.
Well, what I was saying was that in Facebook, I was much more strict with who I accepted or not, and in fact, most of the time, I felt too guilty to ignore them, so they're still all just sitting in limbo like hundreds of people. But I did decide, and this is before Twitter came out, I decided my delineation was going to be, if I knew you in real life, I would add you. Didn't matter if we were friends or if you were just like a work acquaintance, or if but if I didn't know you, you couldn't be my friend. And that made me feel like it's okay if I post some more personal stuff about myself or photos or whatever. But I didn't want to just have random people be my quote unquote friend. And I kept it that way. So, but then what Twitter allowed me to do was to do what N-Guy talked about. I could just broadcast that way. Then anybody can follow me, and it doesn't matter. And I know that what I'm saying is going to everybody, and that's fine, and that's actually kind of cool in its own way. And that way I can keep those two things separate. So,
what happens though when everyone's your friend? I think we've all sort of much followed that same course where, it was exactly the same for me as you're saying. Got to the point where Facebook, I was like, all right, I'll use this as a means of for business connections and stuff, and then it just got to the point where I opened the floodgates, and that meant changing the face that I presented to the world on Facebook and getting to the point where now it's awkward where, it's interesting to see suddenly, all these old people I remember from high school are gradually getting caught up with the internet or whatever the case may be. And then, they add you as a friend thing. And it's like, hey, I do want to talk to this person. I remember this person. I'm interested in them. And then I send them a private message and it's like, they always reply on my wall. And it's like, because for them, that difference isn't there. They don't understand why I would want to have the private messages. Not that there's anything scandalous or anything, but it's just like, hey, I don't need to be having this conversation about remember the time, this or that happened in public view,
Yeah, that's
I
oh, go ahead.
I feel like even with Twitter that it gets kind of weird when you have I have real life friends on Twitter, but then the way normal people use Twitter is to sort of have conversations back and forth with each other, and I like to do a little bit of that. But then I start feeling weird about it because I realize that there are like 3,500 people looking at it, and it's like, how boring is this if I'm really trying to provide some sort of interesting content for people to have to look at my back and forth about, like, oh man, that was delicious pizza that we had last night. It was,
Well, that's what the direct message is for, right?
Yeah, exactly. And that's the thing. It's like when you try to direct message someone and they don't understand and they reply back on your wall, because it's like they're unable to make that distinction between a public self and a private self on the same scale. I think that you have to, once you have hundreds of people added.
For me, one of the things I think about when I'm Twittering is I'm very conscious that it's for public consumption. Like, I am publishing. It's not the same as a blog post or a story from when I used to write for Newsweek, but it is publishing. And so I try to do a couple of things in each post. I try to be informative. I try to be entertaining. I might try to tweak someone or provoke or be provocative, but there are definitely a lot of people for whom it's a running diary. It's like, walking along the street or putting on my makeup or all these things, your updates on their location. And I don't get it. But the thing is, it is a versatile tool. Different people use it in different ways. And, that's just something that we have to accept.
There's really that, like, ego. It's like the ego nourishing opiate thing about it too, where it's like you're at the point where someone presumably cares what you ate, or someone presumably cares about any random, because a lot of times, I mean, the shit that you see, and I start browsing around Twitter and stuff and all these things, it's just like, it's like a Tourette syndrome, there's like Touretters. It's just like, this is on my mind, just pop it out there. And it's like, it's kind of, I mean, in the same way too, when we were talking about like the whole death thing, it's like, I think a lot of people just at some point in their life imagine like, like, well, what's my funeral going to be like? Who's going to attend and stuff? And it's like, now with all this like degree of interconnectivity and stuff, people are able to create these, tell themselves like, yeah, there's thousands of people who, who my passing would affect. And it's like, this seems like a morbid, like a combination of a morbid and an egotistical thought. But I think, I mean, I'm willing to venture that it's fairly common for someone at some point in their life to think
I'm actually just hoping that the four of you will combine your 25,000 followers and like live tweet my funeral. I mean, that's. I want to get that out of the way now. I think it'd be great if you guys could do that for the public.
We're gonna agonize over an arrangement to get you like that scene in The Wire for. Sorry, spoiler. I won't say who, but for a significant character's death, they hook them up with a nice floral arrangement.
That's such a good.
I gotta see what the tweets would be like at Luke's funeral. They'll be like, "Quit fucking crying. Where's the refreshments?" Stuff like that.
I can't believe.
Wow, I can't believe only 5 people showed up.
But thankfully, they're all twittering, so the whole world's involved.
Oh,